Hello, everyone. So today I wanted to start up this series that I'm going to be doing on the films of Charlie Chaplin. First of all, I just wanted to explain who Charlie Chaplin was and his influence on cinema and why he was a very important figure and why he's still an important figure now, just as much as he was at the time. So I just wanted to provide you with some backstory, about some background about Charlie Chaplin and his influence on cinema. For those who may have not heard of Charlie Chaplin or haven't seen his films or have like heard of him but like don't really wouldn't know much like about him, I just wanted to kind of give you some like a little bit of like background information about like why he was important. Now, Chaplin started off by starring in a lot of like small comedies which he would perform in. This was like him when he was like at first like just starting out as like an actor and performer. And these comedies they did start becoming known at the time by audiences, and Chaplin, he actually realized, I want to make films on my own. I want to actually start directing films, rather than just starring in them. He was actually going to start producing, directing, getting involved with actually making a film. Now, at first, you could say that these films they weren't as acclaimed as his later films, but they still managed to gain Chaplin some sort of, I guess you could say, respect as a filmmaker. And kind of bring his style, like, I guess, to the forefront of cinema at the time, and it kind of made him popular when he starred in these little movies. For example, this was one of his starting films he did, Easy Street. However, his debut as a director, which was The Kid, I guess you could say it sort of helped bring Chaplin to really the forefront of cinema at the time. It really, what I mean by that is by the forefront of cinema, I mean this really was a film that made him very popular. It really was known as like his great film. Like his other films were really good, but this was one that was really considered like this is his first like masterpiece he's done. Not only that, his character of the tramp became popular as well. Now, if you don't know the character of the tramp, Chaplin would be known for playing this character that didn't necessarily have a real name. Um, like he wasn't really named like an actual like name, but like his nickname was the Tramp. That was his nickname. In most of Chaplin's films, like he would be called or referred to as the Tramp in a lot of Chaplin's films. Now this character was really a very likable character. You would just easily like he's very lovable, like you could just easily like enjoy like this character like whenever he's on screen. Like he was a very enjoyable character for audiences, and again it kind of helped bring Chaplin to the forefront of cinema, make him very well known for this character which he would play, which was the tramp. Now, a lot of Chaplin's beginning films that he made, which included The Kid and The Gold Rush being his two most popular, you could say, at the time, these films were made at a time. You got to remember, these movies were made at a at a time in which there was no accompanying sound to films. Essentially no dialogue would be audible. You couldn't hear what characters were saying, because developments were still being made in cinema or in film at the time, and therefore these films were referred to as silent films. Since they didn't have any audible dialogue in them, you couldn't hear the dialogue. And during some of the showings of these films, when they would show these films, or like at the film premiere, you would have a live band performing a musical piece to accompany the film. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any music in the background of the film. You would just be seeing the film, but you wouldn't be hearing anything technically. You wouldn't really be hearing anything. However, later on, when developments were being made to films, background music would be actually added to the film itself. Also, you would see these title cards over here, or you could say they were referred to as inner titles at the time. Now, title cards would be included throughout the film for the audience to understand what characters were saying. Essentially, instead of hearing what the characters were saying, you would just be seeing it portrayed on the screen. You would be seeing it like shown on the screen. And instead of like hearing it like you would be seeing it, and you would still understand what was going on. Now, Chaplin was associated, he made a lot of these silent films, as a matter of fact, several silent films when he was becoming well known at the time, before he kind of started changing his style and transitioning into films with audible dialogue, like also known as talkies. They would be referred to as talkies because these were movies with dialogue you could actually hear in them rather than title cards you would be reading. But these were like Chaplin's first films, essentially. Like The Kid and the Gold Rush. These were like his starters, his starting films. Essentially, The Kid and the Gold Rush, they would include title cards, along with other films he made, like a couple years later, he made like other movies, like in the 1920s, that were very well known and are very well known today, that were silent films. So these were the films he would start out with, silent movies. Now Charlie Chaplin, he had a very influential impact on film because you could say that his films were actually able to address real life social issues, but in a comedic way. For example, in The Kid, you could say that this film, it deals with real life issues. It deals with poverty, homelessness. You could say this film kind of portrays like the kid, like it shows the burdens, the issue of poverty, but it was able to show it through comedy or through satire. And this isn't the only film that explores like an important issue. Several of Chaplin's movies explored these issues that were going on in the world, but they did it through comedy. They did it comedically. Not only that, his very relatable and funny character, which he played, which I explained, which was the tramp, this character over here, he became a global success, a worldwide success, this character of the tramp. And as a matter of fact, this character has now been considered one of the most beloved characters in all of cinema. Now, eventually, later on in Chaplin's life, you could say that essentially he received his great influence ended up leading to him receiving an honorary Oscar. He received an honorary award at the 1972 Academy Awards for his achievements in film. And not only did he make achievements in film or in cinema, he made achievements in the art of comedy. He played a very important role in the art of comedy itself. So he didn't just play an important role in cinema. So he ended up receiving, an honorary award, as you can see in this video here, that I'm showing you. An honorary award essentially is where, at the Oscars, what they'll do, every year is they'll hold these awards where they'll hand out, like, this one award to, like, somebody who they call it the Academy Honorary Award, and it's where essentially for anybody who's like made big like and important like achievements like in the art of film or cinema, like anyone who played like an important role in cinema, like well-known people, like they'll hand it out to like they'll pick a particular person who played an important role in cinema, and they will hand them an honorary award. And Charlie Chaplin was one of those people who won an honorary award for his achievements in film, and I gotta say he deserved it. Now that I've seen his films, I've seen a lot of them, at least most of them. So I just wanted to provide you with some background information, some important information about why Chaplin was important, his cinematic influence and comedic influence as a comedian. I just wanted to kind of give you like for anyone who like hasn't like heard of Charlie Chaplin or doesn't know much of Charlie Chaplin or like has heard of him but is kind of like I don't know, like hasn't like they haven't really like known, like they don't know a lot about like Charlie Chaplin. For those who like don't know of Charlie Chaplin, I just kind of wanted to like give you like some backstory on why it was important. Before I do these reviews on some of Charlie Chaplin's films, at least most of them, I'm going to discuss. Because I haven't seen all of his films, but I've seen like his most like well-known films, and I figured before I review those films, I wanted to kind of provide you some information, like I guess you could say this is like a video kind of explaining to you, why Charlie Chaplin was important in the first place. So that's really it for today. That's all for today's video. I will actually be reviewing the Kid. I will be reviewing his first debut as a filmmaker, which was The Kid 1921. I will be reviewing his first, I guess you could say his first debut as a filmmaker. So that review will be coming up soon. I will be discussing the film The Kid from 1921. Yeah, that's all for today. God bless you. Stay safe and goodbye.